Sorry about that. Firstly, I need to thank IBAA holding this bicycle study, and I have this, and also this time I also get a free today at least. We can come here to share some of the Dhamma, my limited understanding of the Dhamma. And the second is also this temple is called Dhammajoti Vihara. It's very interesting because actually when I became a monk in 1987 in Sri Lanka, at that time actually my name is Dhammajoti. And but because my teacher, he's also a professor in University of Hong Kong and in Sri Lanka as well, and actually he's the endowed professor in University of Hong Kong and so forth. Later on, when I took my Upasambhada, my higher ordination in Sri Lanka, 1987, after 2 years as a Samanera, and traditionally I had to train as a Samanera for 2 years, and then I become a monk as a fully ordained as Upasambhada, take the Upasambhada, 1987 that time, because I had the same name with my teacher. My teacher name is Dhammajoti, and I was Dhammajoti as well. So my Acharya, that's why then I was asked to change the name, so that's why I have the name Dhammadipa. No, don't worry, I'm not going to take the temple. Okay? I just want to say, even though later on when I was a Samanera, my name is Dhammajoti, but later on my name changed to as Dhammadipa. But my teacher, he still actually mostly stayed in Hong Kong. As a professor, he had written many books as well. And even he had written a Pali grammar book only for Buddhist study, and a Sanskrit grammar book also only for Buddhist study, not like the English Sanskrit, but only the Buddhist Sanskrit. So his name is Dhammajoti as well. So, okay, I guess this is a good memory, and this is my first time here. And thank you for the host temple also invite us to have this opportunity to have different tradition, at least not just a Burmese tradition as this temple are meant to be. I don't really know. But then we also have different tradition of Buddhism. Come and enjoy this event. My topic is about the cessation from Vedana. I mean, this is more or less like a scholarly as well as a practice as well. And since I realized this is a temple, a Burmese temple, mostly are highly, maybe they have a better knowledge or good knowledge actually in Pali. So I try to just only using the Pali source to deliver the teachings. Now, before I begin the teaching, I'd like to say why I want to think about the cessation from Vedana. We have one of the interesting thing about, we know that Buddhism always talk about cessation. So I mean, it's only the cessation itself will help us to attain Nibbana. And also the cessation itself also to help us to understand the cessation of suffering, the dukkha. Now, what is, when we say that when we have a cessation of suffering, maybe it's a too big subject, but I like to narrow it down. Today we talk only just relate to the cessation of Vedana, I mean the feelings, the cessation of feelings. How does we understand, what do you mean, or how do we understand the meaning of the cessation of suffering, or the feelings? And what does it relate to us? And in Buddhist practice, when someone really attains the cessation of suffering, what kind of attainment it is about? Okay. Now, first I'd like to talk about one sutta called Agala Sutta. The word Agala means a guest house. And this sutta not only influence, actually in the Theravada is a very popular sutta, but it's even in Mahayana it's a very popular sutta if you study Mahayana Buddhism. In the Mahayana Sutta also talk about the guest. But they understand the realization of the guest may be a little different from the Theravada because they understand our mind itself is the host. Anything the suffering, defilements, anything that comes to our mind are just a guess. And this is what we call the Dhammadipa Sak, mean the Dhammadipa, meaning the Buddha, another name the Buddha, Ru Lai in Chinese, right? And that kind of mind understand when someone like the Buddha attend the Buddhahood, then he definitely is the Buddha. He will understand his mind is the host, and everything is just a guest. Like now, we it's the host here, but we are the guest. Can be troublesome. We maybe speak something is not appropriate to a host idea. However, but it will come and go because we are not going to stay here forever. So in Mahayana, of course, influenced by this sutta, also Agala Sutta, mean a kind of a guest house. Even though the meaning can be different, but the simile is the same. It's understand that if from every direction, like a host have the guests, so to come to visit you, and then you may have a good time, having a lunch or having a dinner, so forth, and then the guests will go. And it's a way to understand things are just coming and going. So it's only, so that's why in the sutta itself, it's very simple sutta, very, very short sutta. Just trying to tell us that the feeling is the same. We have the pleasant feeling, we have the unpleasant feeling, and then we have the neutral feeling. But all these different type of feelings, it's only when we hold on the feelings, we get suffer. But if we don't if we learn it, it's just the gas coming and going, then we start to learn how to lose our, attachment basically to the feelings. Now here, one other thing is also trying to say that in this kind of gas, take it as almost like a token as a feeling. There's a pleasant feeling and there's a painful feeling. Here the translation is painful because it's an unpleasant feeling. And then neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings arise. And they also have the carnal pleasant feelings arise, and then or sometimes you call that as a spiritual. Carnal always refer to, it's the one of the word, samisa in Pali. It's always referred to, some people translate it carnal. Because original word means something really smelly, like pungent. But here refer to the pleasant feeling come from the five core senses. That means we see nice thing, we have pleasant feeling. We hear nice thing, we have pleasant feeling. We smell something nice, we have pleasant feeling. We taste something nice, we have pleasant feeling. And our body, when we sit on the chair, we feel comfortable, we have pleasant feeling. This is what we call the carnal. And there's another so-called pleasant feelings, or same thing, three kind of feelings. And then there's a spiritual, it's just a translation. So niramisa, or the Pali word, is referred to the feeling that you feel on the mind. Like, when you read a book, you feel nice. This is nothing to do with our five senses. Directly there's nothing to do with our five senses. Or when people are having a meditation, they have a jhana. When they have a first jhana, second jhana, this is called a spiritual. So, or even when you have upajjhara samadhi, when you have a kind of samadhi that what we call access concentration, and then this is called a spiritual. So now we know that this actually is important even in Buddhism, and in order to practice, we definitely must understand our feeling. So we have different kind of feelings as a guest, and also have the feeling that come from the five core senses, as well as the feeling come from our practice. Or not necessarily just because of meditation, as I said, like people, could think about something only, simply just mind, they feel nice. That kind of what we call the spiritual. So there are three kinds. Now, with that, we move on a little bit. And then, even with that also, we must understand the feeling itself also, the sensation, or I like to translate sensation now maybe. The sensation itself, you still have to able to, if you want to really understand the teachings well, then you need to really investigate. Then the sensation also have bodily sensation and mental sensation. Now, we know that like the bodily sensation is like, let's say I'm sitting here, maybe I don't feel comfortable. Or for some reason I've been sitting, let's say I'm doing meditation or just sit in one posture for a long time. I'm not going to move, I didn't move my body. I didn't have a chance to move my body. Say that for some reason I couldn't move my body. I feel the painful sensation in my body. But since our mind, let's say you do loving kindness, may I be free from animosity. Our attention is not mostly being taken away by the painful sensation, but I could feel there was a kind of calling, right? That asks myself to be love myself, something like that, and you feel nice. So this is what we call the mental sensation. Sometimes this physical I take this, of course, it can be painful too, also, it can be neutral. I will just take painful, pleasant as an example. So the sensation, sometimes you have a sensation called pleasant sensation. It's not necessarily just the flesh, but it could be mental too. But sometimes, even at times, it could be mentally you feel differently, but your physical feel differently. Right? For example, like people doing a massage, when you're not happy, right? Your mental feels suffering, but your physical feel comfortable. It depends how you like to read that or hold your mind in that. But if you hold on your mind when you're not happy, even I'm sure there are lots of the storyteller, let's say the wife and husband have an argue. Okay, let's say later on the husband is not very angry. The wife thought, okay, you know, in order to give the husband some face or whatever, and the wife go to massage, you know, right? So you could know that when you do the massage, you feel the bodily sensation nice, but not necessarily. If the people are still stubborn, don't want to change the idea, they still hold on the anger, and then the mental becomes the mental. The mental, what we call the dukkha or mental dukkha sensation. Right? Now, since I'm talking about, this is definitely is about meditation, but I also like to call people meditation is not a form. It's not like you restrict yourself just to because you're sitting there. Meditation is basically is about manasikara, paying attention. It's about sati, about mindfulness. It's also about samadhi or your concentration. And your viriya, your energy that you want to work on that. And lots of time when we don't have the energy, we don't want to work on that. We just let all these things uncontrolled. So we also have one of the famous sutta. It's almost like people have the pets. Let's say they bought a new pet, say a cat or dog, right? If you don't train them, what happened? After 1 year, 2 years, they will just run away. Anywhere, you cannot control that. But when you have a new pet, especially, you train them. This is a place for you pee. This is a place for you eat. This is the place you don't go. This is the place that you can roaming around. So you just train them well, just like train our mind. So in the Buddhist way of saying, we have to really actually train our mind like train a new pet. So always treat your mind lovely, even though sometimes it's very mischief, you know, the cat can go to the toilet and all these toilet paper just put it down. You just laugh, you know, because you understand the cat have ignorance. They don't understand. You need to train. Like our mind, if you don't train it, we just like a wild cat or wild animal. So, but you definitely need to love your don't anger with yourself. You know that, oh, again, you know, I wasn't really been paying attention so well. So you just need to train the mind. So when we say training, so that's why I will mention here there were two kinds of kammatthana. In other words, mean two kinds of meditation objects we need to do. One is about the form, the rupa, and the other is called arupa kammatthana. Okay, rupa generally refer to the physical body, or even the breath is a physical body, and or even our physical body. Arupa is not our physical body. That means the mental. Since meditation is such a big subject, very very big subject. Here I just like to, you know, talk about how someone can be cessation, get the cessation from feeling. So I will just limit our understanding, and I also certainly believe that you don't, certainly when you meditate, you maybe meditate here and there more or less, but you still can just simply put more attention on what we call the without form, the meditation on the without form, that relate to more of our feelings. So this is my argument here. Can we attain Nibbana just because we have a cessation of feelings? Right. So here I will just simply put it like, when we say arupa, we must also generally understand mean the nama, right? So here I want to say, we must understand if we understand arupa mean the kammatthana meditation object as in relation to without the form. So we must understand there's one posture, there's one consciousness, because you must have the contact. Posture means the contact. Your consciousness must be able to have a contact of the bodily subject, bodily as an object, and then this is how you have the feeling. Let me repeat again. In other words, let's say I feel happy. I feel happy, and the Buddhist understanding is, yes, this can be purely mental happiness, but I must be able to relate with my physical joy. Okay, that there's a contact here. That means my consciousness aware my physical body. Okay, and at the same time, because of the contact, I have a feeling. But the feeling could be pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling. So this is why we say that, according to Buddha say, what is the base of Vedana? So the body is the base as a Vedana. Okay. Now I want to now we start to talk about Vipassana. Now we know in Buddhist meditation, you have the Samadhi meditation, you have Vipassana meditation. And I like to hear to talk about vipassana in two relations. One relation vipassana called anumana yana and pachakana yana. Okay. In other words, mean one is inferential knowledge and one is for the direct knowledge. Okay. Usually when we understand that inferential knowledge usually is obtained by study and reflection. Okay. And then when we say the pachakana yana is given by the meditation. Now, even though there's a definition like this, but please understand again, when we have feelings, actually, in the Buddhist understanding, when you come to, let's say, I feel nice, I feel pleasant, or I feel unpleasant, it's come from not from the direct knowledge, but it's all from the anumana yana. It's come from inferential. Why? The question is interesting. Why is inferential? Because actually, you don't directly see the feelings. You have no way to directly perceive the feeling, even there's a different argument. I'm not saying my version is only one version. I'm sure this is why the interest about studying Buddhism. Still, there are a lot of debate. And the debate, I also agree with some other debate also. Now, let me just say one thing very simple. Why I agree with some other debate? It's all about how deep your meditation is about. Because some meditation are very, very deep enough. You could argue that because I have such a beyond, my perception is beyond normal understanding, like what we call avinya in the word. Through the avinya, so maybe you are able to direct experience in, you could argue that that is more like pachakaya, in the direct experience, but not the inference. But let me just allow me to just say in a simple way, why I want to argue this is also certain sutta is very clear, it's not always this direct experience for the feeling, but you could be inferential. Now, one reason is that because let's say sometimes I feel nice, it's because I like it, and I feel don't like, it's because I don't like it, and I feel something neutral is because I don't know what's happening, right? So those actually is clear is because of inferential. You are still carry with your Vedana and your intentional or something that preconditioned mind that you observe the object. This is what I mean by it's mean that is through the anumana. And besides this is also very interesting, later we will talk about that. Just okay. Now, so if that's the case, in Buddhism we also know, if once someone do the vipassana, the insight meditation, one of the very important thing that we do vipassana is in order to see the samanya lakkhana, that what we call universal characteristic. That is to see the origination, the cessation, and the alternation of that which exists. Tittasa anyatata. In other words, let's say, give you one example. To vipassana is really, really important that we were able to, we were able to, when you do the vipassana, we're able to see, let's say, I have a pleasant sensation, but then I also have, and then the next moment I have unpleasant sensation. So you think that when you feel happy, you think that your happy is actually sustained all the time is not true. This is what we call sasattavada. You have the eternal view. You think that this is eternally is like that because you don't have a very careful investigation. But if you have a careful investigation, even let's say I'm giving a talk now, maybe when I give a talk I feel very proud. This is my manas, fine, my manas. But you know the manas, the pride always give you a pleasant sensation. That's why a lot of people feel proud. They don't want to give away the proud. They don't see the dukkha. So, but we thought, when I feel pride, it must be stay there always. It's not. Because the next moment, actually, I saw some people maybe not disagree with me. I feel not proud that moment. But since my mind will still hold on the proudness, the pride, and then in order to maintain my identity as what we call the self, right? And then I still feel the pride. But however, actually, in reality, I change, right? Sometimes I can be pleasant sensation or unpleasant sensation, like people drinking wine is very clear. You know, in American, there's a stereotype of young people, they go to drink the wine, but they still want to prove they are very good and they still keep on thinking very much. But actually, the sensation changes all the time. Now, if you are meditate the same thing, even though you sit there, you feel very nice. You thought you are always very nice. Sometimes it gives you a problem because the next time when you sit, you don't feel nice and you hate meditation. Because you're holding that meditation must feel nice. This is you are holding the idea nice. The other problem is that when you sit there, And if you're holding that kind of idea, you always presume that meditation has to be nice, but you don't know the nature of the Buddhism, that what we call the universal characteristic of the Dhamma is changing. Okay, so then you must be able to see the origination, the cessation, and then changing. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're sitting, you feel, this is boring. Somehow maybe a teacher remind you, say, if you don't meditate, you're just like a monkey. Okay, yeah, I don't want to be a monkey. And you just keep a little sitting, you find nice, right? Now, this is what is the arising of that? You arise to feel nice sensation, right? But then later, the next moment you don't feel nice. And then the ceasing of the nice sensation. And also, if you could meditate even well, you start to see not just the ceasing and arising of the nice sensation or even other sensation, but you will start to actually observe changing of the sensation. Now, this is from that, and also the other term we use sometimes, upada, ditti, banga. Okay. Now, although these two terms the Pali terms are very different, when we translate English, you could translate similar, but it does take some other meaning too. Because, yes, when this kind of changing of the sensation as anicca, as impermanence, if you could observe it changing again and again and again, you start to feel that even the pleasant sensation, it always changes. People think that the pleasant sensation means when they don't have the sharp mind to investigate, they always think the present sensation is the same. It never be the same. One thought moment to the second thought moment to the third thought moment, even the present sensation change in a different degree. Okay, all right. Okay, but the banga generally here I want to refer when the sensation change. If you're able to see the banga, in other words, you're able to see the dissolution of the sensation, you started to see the cessation of the sensation. Now I will just give a talk of it. Okay. Let's say we have sukhang wa vedana vedayamano. In other words, when you feel the pleasant sensation while you're feeling it, vedana is a present participle, mean when you're feeling that time, so you feel sukhang vedana vedayami, mean I feel pleasant sensation. But when you're feeling that unpleasant sensation, the moment that when you're feeling that unpleasant sensation, and you know that you're feeling unpleasant sensation. The same thing when you feel the neutral sensation, then the moment that you feel the neutral sensation. For example, some people may ask, what is neutral sensation? There are a lot of neutral sensation. Even the subtle bojjhanga is also something to do with the neutral. But say the simple one first. Like when you sit, some people, when you feel your feet become numb, right? No, you don't feel anything. People get worried. You just have to understand this is neutral sensation. You don't feel it, you don't know it's pain or not pain. You just know it's that, almost like that. So then you just understand why you're feeling that neutral sensation, you know it's a neutral sensation. But when you're doing a higher meditation, actually, so basically, one thing we need to do is that we don't want ourselves to have sattva, upalatti, and attasani. In other words, the meditate on a sensation in order to get rid of the self, because to get rid of the notion or the wrong concept of the self, atma or atta. So if you were thinking, this is I having the sensation, this is not enough. I just mentioned already. You need to be able to meditate up to the point that you have to see the universal characteristic. Okay. Now, how to do that? Generally, when you feel nice, and then sometimes you don't feel, today I have bad meditation because I don't feel nice, for example. This is because you uphold the idea, what we call the atta, or sattva upalatti. You uphold the idea of self. Now, to do that, that's why in Buddhist say, sabbe sankhara anicca. So you have to understand all formation are impermanent. You need to remind yourself, it's impermanent, it's impermanent. I cannot be just stay here, only feel nice sensation. This is about vipassana, this is not samadhi. Samadhi is different. When you practice samadhi, you have to let the present sensation stay as long as possible. But when you practice vipassana, this kind of indulge yourself only in the present sensation that will blind you to see the reality. Okay. Because yourself, something that from our past life until now, the self will hold on the idea will not get rid of it. We just want a nice thing. We don't want something we don't. It's not nice. That's why you need to remind yourself by doing anicca, 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 and then you will be able to start to see, you start to get rid of yourself, the notion of the self that in relation to the feelings. All right. Now, I need to skip something because in order to save time, because we are late for many things also. We were late here, we had to set up the thing and everything. So, this is certainly, you could say that in Buddhist teaching, you still have to able to look at the Dhammata or Buddhata. Okay, it's all right. These two terms might be represent the same. Buddhata means the reality of the Dhamma means 如是 such a way. Bu means exist. Exist is such a way. When people don't have this experience, they always think that the exist in such a way is what is the present sensation. But when you are really understand, look at it. When you start to see, as I said, when you call anicca, 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 and you start to see the thing are changing and changing and changing, don't worry. Even though you feel dukkha, but it's not suffering. Okay. This is why the Buddha said that ultimately this is why we talk about the Four Noble Truths, the first truth, the truth of dukkha. Here is not saying that dukkha as a suffering. The dukkha just as the something that usually we can understand dukkha as holding, that badly hold. Means something, the nature is that, it's unpleasantly holding. That's all. Maybe not necessarily agree with you, but you have to accept things are changing. When you are really observing that, you see the Buddhata. And how you can see the Buddhata is because you are able to go beyond just the general feeling of the sensation, like the pleasant sensation. But you start to see every sensation comes because of contact. Okay? Remember earlier I gave, because there's a base, there's a contact, and then there's a consciousness. And this is how we have feeling. Am I right? We always believe that the chair don't have feeling. But we have a feeling related to the chair because we have the contact with the chair, right? And our consciousness on the chair. At the moment, I don't have a consciousness with the hearing. Maybe some people are shouting at me when my mind was just only with the chair. So I have object as something like paksa, let's say my physical body, contact here, and then the chair give me the contact, right? But this is as a form. Of course, you could say the physical as a form also, and then give you a form, and then you have the basis of your body, and then you have a contact, and then you have a sensation. Either you like it or don't like it, or if you have a neutral feeling also. Okay. Now, this is actually is very interesting sutta called Nalanda Sutta, and this sutta actually is the last sutta by Sariputta. Because Sariputta, we know the story of Sariputta in Nalanda at the time when Buddha lived in Nalanda. Sariputta is very old, and he need to attend Parinibbana. So and he kind of like say goodbye to the teacher, to the Buddha. So he went to see the Buddha because the last thing we know in commentary saying he need to go back his hometown, Sariputta, because he need to convert. At least he try to pursue his mother to attain the sainthood. We know that his mother was very angry with Sariputta because he's a very pious and not only rich but very pious Brahmin. But he knew that his mother, if he can born Sariputta, he must have a good karma also. So that's why he knew that before he went. I mean, this story maybe in the future, if I remember, we can talk also. It's a very interesting story. So, and certainly then he went back, he able to convert his mother to be a Buddhist and become a saint as well. So he knew that now he did his last job. So that's a way to pay his respect to the Sariputta's mother. Now this is Sutta he met the last time he met the Buddha. So actually he met the Buddha, he went to tell the Buddha. So he knew that he said the Buddha, even the past Buddha, the present Buddha like Sakyamuni Buddha or Gautama Buddha or even the future Buddha, their attainment will be the same. Their understanding will be the same, the knowledge will be the same. But it's interesting actually the Buddha at that time told him that, how do you know that? Because it's a kind of Buddha telling him, you are kind of like, maybe in our language, you are Arahant, you are not a Buddha. But you can no way to know what is the past Buddha and the future Buddha. You maybe can know about the present Buddha, how you can be sure. And Ananda say, the Sariputta say, he say, So too, Venerable Sir, I have understood this by inference from the Dhamma. Okay, me Dhamma vayo vidito. That's the term in Pali. Now, this term has become very, very interesting later on. Now, let's just look at the Pali first. Here he just say, I truly inference. He gives a simile as the doorkeeper, the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper, they know everything. So, but it's not necessarily they know every detail because they have to able to know, they could truly influence or understand what the other, like the Buddha. He admit that his power is not like the Buddha, but he still could understand because he also had a certain power already. And with that, he could truly influence or understand what they are, what the Buddha is. Now, and this is the term about this. Here, why I want to put this here, this term here, because this is what I want to say. Like, even though maybe our experience or our practice certainly is not as profound as the Buddha, but we could somehow, if you have experience, could somehow infer that how the Buddha attained his enlightenment as well, like that. Okay. Now, it's not only that, because the term Dhammavaya, especially in Abhidhamma, not in Pali Abhidhamma, in the Sarvastiva Abhidhamma, there's another Abhidhamma system, which is you could understand Pali Abhidhamma is, from India, transmit to Sri Lanka to the south, but they in old day, before the Muslim, really destroyed the whole Buddhism in India, the Central Asia and all this part of the country, they had one of the biggest school Abhidhamma called Sarvastiva Abhidhamma. And that kind of school Abhidhamma uses Dhammavaya a lot. Okay. Here, in other words, because they believe this is what the Sariputta thinking. The Dhammavaya here refer to any Dhamma that you experienced, and then it become influence understanding what they are. For example, if I meditate, I feel there's a anicca, the impermanence going on, right? But actually, the way that you understand impermanence is not direct knowledge. It's come from inferential. I don't know whether you feel this is boring. Is it boring? No. So it's telling you that. So, and that's especially that Abhidhamma, not the Pali Abhidhamma. In Sarvasvi Abhidhamma, they always understand the Dhamma is first you have a direct knowledge, and then you have inferential knowledge, and then you have a direct knowledge, and then you have inferential knowledge. So, to understand anicca, anatta, dukkha, this is all to that must first have a direct knowledge because you know it, and then you know what it is infinite knowledge. Okay? And I think Pali, even though they have no this system to say that, but I somehow think I want to say, still in a lot of Pali different schools practice, they carry their system also, even though not in the Abhidhamma way of explaining. Right. Now, I need in order to put the time, and I want to say, almost conclude the thing. So, I put it from Patisambitamagga, and the same thing actually is similar to the comment to the Mula Pariyaya Sutta, the first sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, saying that one wrongly regards form as self. You could understand that mean one wrongly regards the feelings or sensation as self. Just as the flame of the kindled lamp is identical to the color of the flame. In other words, just like when we have feeling, why we are suffering, because we identity as a self. Just like when you look at the lamp, right? The fire of the lamp. You say that, oh, this is basically you take the color of the fire as the real thing. Okay, as a lamp. You know the color of fire is not a lamp, am I right? We all know that. Let's say you have a pleasant sensation. You take this as I have a pleasant sensation. But it's something just in condition given to you, and then it goes away, and some other sensation comes along, like a gas, as I said, that gas. But people are usually take it when we have a knowledge, common knowledge, understand. When you look at the lamp or the fire, you know this is just a lamp or the fire. It's not a lamp, right? Okay. So, and this is why I say that is one thing is wrong. Second, one wrongly regard the self as a possession of the feeling, just as a tree possession of a shadow. We know the shadow comes because of the sun ray. The tree have no shadow, but then of course when the sun rays come, the shadow is arise, the sun. So, and the third one wrongly regards just replace the word form because I want to retain the original translation. I should have changed it. So one wrongly regards the form as in self, just as in the scent is in the flower. When you feel the scent, from the flower, you think, oh, that you misconcept that the flower must have the scent. But is that the flower have the scent? Yes and no. The flower will have the scent, but the scent will goes away as well. Am I right? So the third thing, please remember these kind of words, even though you don't remember all. If you can remind one when you do meditation, it's very, very helpful. Just like someone wrongly regards the self as in feelings, just as the jewel is in the casket. Okay. Now, if you can remember this, so this is according to Mula Bariya Sutta commentary say, it means people are wrongly regarded. Let's say he sees the feeling as the self, he sees the sensation, he sees the self is in the sensation, right? Or he thinks the self is in other than the sensation, and he sees the self as having the sensation or sensation as in the self. So those are the different stratum of people are regarding the self. I mean, this is a very complicated subject, but generally just say like, if I feel present, why? Because you see, present is you, right? Sometimes you might be better now. You don't see the present is you, present sensation is you. But sometimes you meditate, you start to say, actually, I have present sensation. So in other words, you see the present sensation in, you see yourself is in the present sensation. I'm in the present, especially when people have a jhana, for example, because you're purely mental. So the second one you should refer to when the people have jhana. So they thought they are there. That's what they always refer to the Brahmanism. The Atma is with them. So because they think that they are in such a profound, beautiful sensation, and then the Atma stay with them, or even the small self is there. So this is what I mean by that sensation, the self is in you. Okay. All right, I skip something and I need to just finish it. The reason why I also try to say about later, just now I want to say about the influence, because you still, one thing we need to solve about the past and the present and the future. You don't have to solve the past and future, present and future because you can able to read your past life, mean your previous life and previous life. If you can, of course, that's even better because you have the very strong samadhi that you could have the abhinya, mean the supernatural power, spiritual power that you could read your past life. If you don't have, at least in the Buddhist tradition, you have to able to see the past, the present, and the future. Now, to Vedana, to the feelings, yeah, of course, if you can, as I say, still is good. That's as one of the methods. But the other method is you still have to solve the problem. Do I have the past feeling? Like that. In the past, what I in the past? What I not in the past? What was I in the past and so forth, and in the future and present? Since our time reason, I don't need to speak that much. In other words, you actually, if you really take yourself seriously, you need to think about what is in your past, who you are. You know your present you are, I feel nice, but in my past, which one is I? Who I? Some people even ask me a question, they say, Dhammadipa, tell me what I am, who I am. How should I answer that? When you're 5 years old, you think differently. When you're 10 years old, you think differently. Now we are 50 something. You remember that now I'm 53 now. When I'm 50 something, 53, and if I want to think about when I was 20 years old, it's not completely not me. So am I not there? Right? Something like that. So now what about my future? If I can live, let's say 80 years old, I have maybe 27 years. Who I will that be? Those are the questions. And in Buddhism, of course, you could solve that question by what? In other words, those kind of questions is bothering us. And this is why we have suffering also. We take that, when we don't solve the question how this thing can influence you, you always say, remember why we suffer. We suffer because when I was young, I want to be that, I couldn't be that now. You get suffer. And you also suffer because, in the future, tomorrow, I want to do that, I want to be that. In 10 years, I must be, let's say, I always say I want to publish my book, right? I had write so many things on my computer. When I die, I think people will publish, they will fight. Why Dhammadipa write so many things and never publish? Of course, because I always think about future. I always think that this is not good, I don't want to publish. People criticize me. And then that when I die, nobody cares. They just publish it. And I don't care even, because I die already, I don't know what happened. But I want to say generally, so is look at the future. Now we suffer also by that. Now, in Buddhist understanding, this is what we call this avijja, ignorance. We don't understand the past is that who I am, what I was, and what I will be, and now what I am. Now, if you can figure that out, actually, what my argument is, you figure that out is because when you do the sensation, look, imagine yesterday's sensation, today's sensation, and tomorrow's sensation. Do they have a common nature there? Do they? I don't know. You have to find the answer. Okay, right. Now let me just by almost finishing by saying that the Buddha say from Atthadanda Sutta, from Sutta Vihara say, actually there are many similar sutta. I will just quote one. Called Yam Pupe Tang Visosehi Bacha de Ma Ahu Kinjana Majeja no Gahesasi Upasando Jarisasi. So basically mean let the past wither away. Let what comes later be nothing. Actually be anything. But in here be anything be nothing. Be kinchana, whatever. Or you could say let what comes later, whatever. So it maybe sound a little not very nice English. But anyway, majeja no gahesasi. If you grasp none of it at anything in between, you will roaming or you will go anywhere with calm. So now this statement is not asking you simply just say, okay, don't worry, things will come and go. So it's not. This is a very deep meaning about meditation, because if you see the thing are just become impermanence itself, when impermanence mean is carry the nature of dukkha. So you don't see everything, even the pleasant sensation you have, you see that as a dukkha through the wisdom. So when you can able to see these things, so that's why your mind do not attach anything, whether the past or whether the future. You don't, but you still live with that. As you don't attach it, your mind almost like can be alleviate yourself from that moment. So I like to conclude saying that, like in Aranya Sutta, well, basically this sutta was asked by the God. He said that how can you be happy and having a so difficult life living alone, right? And the Buddha replied to the God. So Atitang Nalu So Chanti, because for the sake of time I'm not going to read the Pali. So the English say they do not sorrow after the past, nor do they long for the future. They keep themselves to what is before them, hence their demeanor is so serene. True longing for the future, actually the true sorrowing after the past, full joy-ups and wither away like the green wheat that is cut down. Generally mean, it's also want to say the same thing mean. So then they say that because they will see the anicca, they say the dukkha, they see the anatta, the non-self. So the mind will not long in the future and the past. They live very happily. So this is how I end my talk. Well, generally, let me just